So first, how did you come up with your idea? Like I don't want to just get an answer like, oh, okay, I came up with this idea because I saw this problem. I want to see like, if you guys actually, was doing something else and then realize that, hey, this is actually what I want to. While you're doing that, you figure something out. Perhaps like Gogovan, like you guys didn't start out doing like van rental. Like how did you find it?
The story is really long and just really short. So when I was in California with two of my other co-founders, actually we were working for a Chinese restaurant as a delivery guy for 2 years. Three of us for the same Chinese restaurant for 2 years together. And then after I graduated from Berkeley, my co-founder from UCLA and USC, when we moved back to Hong Kong, actually we had the idea to put advertisement on a takeaway box that we kind of explored when we were in a Chinese restaurant, and then we tried to do it here in Hong Kong. And we found a company called Boss Ad, which put advertisement on a styrofoam lunchbox. And we started from like around mid-2011. And every single day we deliver a couple hundreds of lunchbox to couple restaurants only. And then after 9 months of operations, we deliver over 100,000 lunchboxes per day, just the box, no food inside, okay, to over 600 restaurants. And the biggest problem we had was logistics. And at that time, what we tried to do is, in Hong Kong, you always, in the past, you always see this van running around with the phone number at the back and their name, something like that. And then you call that number and ask, hey, I want a van or a truck to go from A to B, and then they quote you a price. And then they will tell you if I have a vehicle available or not. But at that time, there were over 100 of these call centers, and we keep calling one by one, starting 6 in the morning, because we have to hit the restaurant before 9. Otherwise, the restaurant owner will kick you out, and they're really, really mean to you. So, yeah, they're a restaurant owner, and they just, I don't care if it's free, you are late, just get out. Something like that. So we got kind of like really bad reputation after a couple of times we missed the delivery. And then I hate these call centers. And then I tried to talk to these guys if I can book the van or lorry by myself ahead of time. And most of them, they said no. I was like, okay, I'm giving you business, but you said no to me. All right, anyway, I just couldn't figure out how this industry is going to work in Hong Kong. But it has been here for 40 years. For 40 years, but I still couldn't figure out. I hold a college degree, but I couldn't figure out how to do this. I'm from business school, and I talked to my dad, and my dad has been using this kind of service for 30 years. My dad is a remote kind of a construction worker. He booked this kind of van every single day, or 2 times, for like many years. And then I asked, hey, it is what it is, so just keep calling. So you keep calling for 30 years. Yeah. Right? So I asked how many of these kind of vans out there. Actually, they're based on the government record, we have 74,000 licensed good vehicles registered in Hong Kong. And half of it is owned by DHL and Welcome, all these big corporates or companies. And half of them is actually owned by individuals. It's huge. But I couldn't get one out of that 34,000, 35,000 vehicles. What's wrong with it? And I started talking to the drivers, and I tried to figure out, and I found it, the call center control the market. And it's really inefficient. And then I started to make friends with the drivers, and I talked to them, understand their problem. And then I got the idea to do Gogovan instead of selling takeaway box.
that is really cool indeed. I mean, like, people sometimes just get, too used to calling on the phone. Yeah. That they don't even realize it's a problem. Yes. So, yeah, MyFlat, like Antony. I mean, this is a really interesting thing that you guys got into. I mean, from banking background, how did you even get into this?
So actually, there was an interesting story on Matthew, the other co-founder. So he moved into his new estate, and then one day he wanted to find a tennis partner. So he went to the management office and tried to put a note on that notice board because he saw that, right? So he asked the management guy, saying, can I just write a note and stick it up? And he said, no. So you have to fill in a form, and then we have to use computer to retype what we wrote and then put it on. And then it's like, okay, fine, my handwriting wasn't that good, so let you type. So he wrote that form, and then he gave to the management guy. And then he asked, so it will be put on right now, right? So the management guy said, no. And then he watched on his watch, and then today is the 18th, and you have to wait until the 1st and the 16th every month because we posted out 2 times every month. So he was like, what? I can post something on Facebook like within 3 seconds, but then now I want to find a tennis partner simply, and I have to wait for 2 weeks until the 1st of next month. So then we found a problem. And then if you remember, actually in many supermarkets before, you see those notice boards, people just sticking up notes, and then they communicate with the community easily, but now it's all gone. So we think actually technology should be a better way for us to communicate with people around us. So that's how we came up with the idea.
Ben, like Bindo didn't start doing like POS, system right away, right? You guys,
Yeah, sure. So yeah, we actually started out building out the marketplace first, interestingly enough. So the whole concept of the marketplace started out like we can't find it's really hard to find a very particular product. When you look at Amazon or eBay or Etsy, a lot of these shops, it's just merchants listing like a couple of token products online. So nobody has actually indexed every single product out there. So we started building out that marketplace, and then we very quickly ran into inventory synchronization issues. So basically, merchants often have to manage multiple inventories, like one for their in-store sales, like store A and then store B, and then another one for Amazon, eBay, and whatnot. And it gets really troublesome, synchronizing. You just waste a lot of time. Delivery as well was another issue. We constantly have to call merchants up and say, hey, you got a delivery yet? And merchants calls and say, hey, actually we didn't check the stock. So we decided to shut down the marketplace, and we looked at all the, we actually had a fair bit of traction in the marketplace. I think we had 30, 40 merchants on board, and we were able to demonstrate we could drive sales by an additional 20 to 30%. And we looked at all the POS systems out there, and we found they were just either very unfriendly to integration, or they were just really crap. There's really awful POS, PC POS-based systems that were really difficult to work with, and had horrible APIs. And we told everyone, okay, we're going to shut it down. We're going to rebuild our point-of-sale system. And at the time, all our investors and everyone told us we were crazy because POS it's a really nasty market. Margins are razor thin, and selling a POS is the toughest thing in the world. But we persevered and we built this POS system and pretty much built a really competitive product than what some of our other iPad POS competitors in the market have built in 4 or 5 years. What we built in 2 years. So yeah, this is where we are today.
Cool, thanks, man. So, Luke, from coffee shops to electric car charging stations to con t-shirts made from Peruvian cotton, how did you come up with that?
So, the real reason is in 2012 I sold ChargePoint, and ChargePoint we were selling electric vehicle charging stations, and there was no electric vehicles. It was a really difficult business, but we did really well. But at the end of that, I said, well, I'm not going to create a business that has to invent a new market. I just want to build a business where there's an existing market. So that's where I said, clothing, and people buy clothing every day. And the second reason, I'm not sure if you guys know, but at Australia, retail shops, it's really expensive. Just to get a pair of jeans, it's $100, and we all know that jeans cost $10 to make. So I was really annoyed at the price point difference and the markups. And then, I started my research, and I didn't know exactly what it was going to be about, and I always knew price was the key thing. That's where you get the volume of sales. But it was where I was working at Zara and French Connection and just trying to work out where a key difference point where Grana could stand for, and that was the fabric quality. I bought a bunch of t-shirts. Different, the Vietnamese made, Chinese made, and then Peruvian Pima. And all my friends and family were like, we love the Pima, it's such a great story, and that's where the fabric story was born for Grana. And that's where we think we can differentiate.
Very cool. Ashok. Yeah, so
difficult to find t-shirts from my sensitive. I tried to go one t-shirt, what I can't find. Never mind. I'll try.
So you go way back. Before you were at Gogovan, and then you left Gogovan, you went to start a Mandarin online education startup.
Actually, that was during the good days.
During the good days, yeah. So, and then you went back into Gogovan.
Yeah, there was the MandarinSchool.com that I had. Then I was working. I was doing some SEO and stuff for a visa consultancy firm. And then I finished. This was during my MBA times. When I came to Hong Kong, I had a startup. We were building a multi-party video conferencing browser plugin, and that was in 2009. And back then, nobody, even now, only Skype has a three-party free conference. Nobody else has it. We ran out of money to shut that down. I finished my MBA. Those small two startups didn't work out. I was not a mandated teacher. I couldn't find teachers to sign up. And the SEO business did pretty well. Anyway, so cut to the chase, right? Went to the Gogovan. It was 16 hours a day, weeks, and never mind. So we had a baby. Our baby was born in January last year. So she's now almost 2 years. And she was spending a lot of time with my in-laws and a lot of time with us. So it was a time share, right? And there were a lot of photo exchange and video exchange happening on a WhatsApp group between me, my wife, my father-in-law, my mother-in-law, my mom, and my dad. So 6 people in the same chat, sending photos all around, right? And so I had to go there and back up my mother-in-law's photos first, then my mom's photos, then my wife's photos, and I tried to set up Dropbox for them and Google Drive. But they fill it up in like 2 days. They did. They take off. And on top of it, they're not willing to pay for extra space on Dropbox. I'm like, okay, this is nightmare. So I bought a Mac Mini for them, each of them, and set up the Mac Mini. I modified an open source software called XBMC. I wrote a simple app and gave it to them so they could back up. And then they asked me for more. They like, we have to sit down and delete these photos and stuff like that. So that's when my wife's like, this is what you do, this is what I have done for 15 years in a few startups, video and photo management and content creation, distribution, playback and archival and things like that. So she's like, why? Since I had done it for the Mac Mini and I had an Apple TV, I still have an Apple TV, I have a Mac Mini, I have a home theater PC, and we have desktop and laptops. My wife doesn't have time to go home and sit down, open a laptop, back up our photos from the phone to the iTunes, and we all know what happened to the iTunes, and we knew it had it before as well. So both of us don't keep our photos there because baby's photos in shower and stuff. We don't want to keep them on any online platform, and that is how the idea was born. But I am not a hardware guy; I'm a software guy. I knew how to write the software. I wrote the software very early, very quickly. It was like it took me just 6 months to finish the software part of it. But then I tried to convince my mother-in-law to install that software, and she's like, she doesn't, first of all, doesn't have a computer. Neither does my mom has a computer. I gave them a Mac Mini, and I asked them, can you install and run this every time you need to back up? They were like, this is too much for us, we're not. I wasted my 5,000 Hong Kong dollars just to 10,000 Hong Kong dollars. So I thought, well, I guess if we were to make it a product, we will have to tie it to a hardware that just does it all. And that's when we came up with the hardware idea. I still wanted to avoid building anything or build things that I don't know. So we bought some Taobao ready-to-use boxes, and I tried that, those didn't work, and then finally, I had to, dig out money out of my own savings to build this hardware. It's an expensive process, and it's a painful process. I really wish I wouldn't have done that. The hardware, but now we are there, we finished it, it's been an awesome journey, learned a lot, and we are going to start shipping in like 4 weeks, so very excited about that.
Yeah, I mean, like, come to think of it, really, these phones, they just get more and more, like, more storage space, and it's really scary, like, how do you actually store these, like, photos?
But that's what Apple did with the iPhone 6. The basic version is, I think, is the 6 or 8 GB version, which is very cheap, but if you want to, and 8 GB is nothing, I'm telling you, if you have a baby, you can fill it in a week. And if you want to upgrade to 16 or 64 GB, and the prices, and this is how they make money, and Apple probably sold the least number of phones which are 8 GB phones. They sold the most with a 16 or 64 GB phones, and it's a normal cycle, you go and that's what you need.
Hey, so Danny, like from, enterprise furniture to like Groupon, you buy, now biotech, genetics. How did you actually get into this?
I think timing and opportunity wise, right? So I think as being an entrepreneur wise, I mean, you create your own luck, right? So, I mean, I actually don't believe in luck, but luck comes when you actually look for it, right? I always have the analogy. So if you're walking down the street, someone can see a $10 bill, and then you pick that $10 bill up, right? Somebody else walks down the street, and they don't see that $10 bill, so they don't see that opportunity. But then a lot of people call that luck. right? So, and business-wise, concept-wise, it's usually the same. It's just you have to have a unique selling proposition, have that value proposition, and right now I think genetics is the next wave of the future-wise, and I really believe that there needs to be more entrepreneurs in the healthcare space to be able to tackle the problems here. And through my entrepreneurial experience, I'm humbled to be able to have this opportunity.
So your team slide, that's a really interesting one, with your GED and the PhDs.
Mm-hmm.
So how did you actually come up with that team? How did you pull all these people together? So that's really interesting.
It was an existing team, so I didn't build a team. I think my Lawrence, he's actually a co-founder. It's a CityU spin-off, right? So I actually tried to create the team when I was looking into last year when I was early stage, thinking about leaving Groupon already. I couldn't build a team because nobody was like, hey, you're crazy, you want to do this and such, right? So it came again opportunity and timing when I was out there meeting people. Then Lawrence came to me for funding, right? And I was like, hey, this is a great opportunity. This is exactly what I'm looking for. And then there's like, I'd love to fund you guys, but I think he's a naturally a scientist, no, not a businessman, right? So. And that's I think that's where I come in play, and to kind of reposition it, get our key points in, and make this a mainstream product that every family should have.
So it's more like the team found you, which is kind of cool.
Yes, correct. Yeah.
So
you can say that.
Yeah. So I think I'm leading into my next question is about team building. I think building successful startups, we really need to have a rounded out team. And a lot of people ask me how do I find a co-founder? How do I find someone to build my business with me? I think we have a variety of examples here. And Stephen, I think you had a pretty interesting story just now how you actually go way back with your co-founders, right?
Yeah. So we are a team of 5 at the beginning, and we have kind of 3 really core co-founders, Nick, Vic, and myself, which we spent time in school and Chinese restaurant for 2 years, so I just mentioned. And 3 of us are from low-income family, and we are just having luck or by some chance, for some reason, we end up studying in community college in California. But since we are all from low-money family, kind of really no money, so we always think of interesting ideas to do while we are in college. Other than working in Chinese restaurant, it's not enough to get us through college. So we can pay for our bills in community college, and not to get us food like Berkeley, USC. USC is very, very expensive. So we every single day, other than delivery Chinese food, we always hang out and talk about some interesting ideas. And then we saw I sold first generation iPhone on eBay. I unlocked it and then sold hundreds and hundreds thousands of them on eBay, and that's how I get myself through school, and then I help people repair second-hand car, bicycles, so hot dog in school. So 3 of us are really, really good friends. So if I run out gas in a highway or a freeway or something, they would just come and pick me up and then fix everything for me, and then we just keep working. And then when we come back to Hong Kong, we found Gogovan this idea. A few of us went to business school, economics, all this kind of law-related major. Luckily, no one know about logistics or building an app or something. Then I started to look for CTO that I hope for a long time. I shot around for more than 4 to 5 months to build an app for us. And then luckily, my girlfriend's university classmate, they major in hotel management, okay? And then she told me her friend know how to program. Okay, I couldn't find anyone. Then a hotel management major told me how to make phone. Why not just meet? And it turned out to be he's a really, really good programmer. He built Gogovan, the front end, back end, iOS, Android, everything, part-time in 3 months of time. And it worked. It worked without bug. And that's how we launched in 3 months of time and tested. By the time we launched, we have over 500 drivers registered already, and then people keep rolling up. That's how we start. And then I thought, okay, now we have a really crappy app. There was the logo is not like that. It's really, really crappy. And when we talk to the drivers, we just draw on a kind of an A4 paper, not even Photoshop, not even using any computer editing software. So we just draw on it like what we did in college. So in the billboard, just draw something and then just hand out to the driver. It was really, really accurate. then we find, okay, we need a designer. And then I found one of my high school really good friends. We went to athletic teams, our basketball team together, and I asked him if he wanted to join us. At that time, he was working for 4A's, those marketing agency, as a creative director, and at the age of 26. So he's really, really good, and we are very good friends since we are a kid. And that's how we put the team together, and that's how we started.
Very cool. So, yeah, so like maybe a slightly different example, like Luke, your team, like maybe you guys don't go that far back, right?
Yeah.
Like, how did you meet them? Yeah. How did you find them?
So when I first came to Hong Kong, as I said, I wasn't raising too much money. I was raising 400,000. And then once Bluebell came on board and a few other investors, they said, you really, if you want to build this big fashion brand, you need the right team. And I was able to raise up to $1 million, and we had a rolling cap for our convertible note. And one of the prerequisites of the round was to build a really strong team. So that's where, over the past 3 months, I've just been recruiting and trying to find the best people I can for the roles. We're a new team. We're only 2 months in, and there's 7 people. So everyone's got different ideas, but we have we've all agreed on the vision of what we're doing, and Peter, who's also an investor, has come on board as a co-founder with me, and that it's a big help. But I think it's really just about working together as a team, and we all really want the brand to be. Does that answer the question?
Yeah. So one of the really interesting things I find is that as an entrepreneur, you always have to like sell, right? You sell to your investor, you sell to like potential employees. And sometimes when you're selling your investor, that turns out to be an employee as well, like your co-founder, which is like really interesting and what happened in like Grana's case. So like perhaps like how about Ben? Like how did you meet your team? Like because I see like a team in New York too. Like how did you guys get like a dual city kind of setup?
Sure. Yeah. So. Believe it or not, AngelList has actually been a wonderful platform for hiring. So Brad and David met in Hong Kong. I think they were on a holiday. They were traveling together. They bumped each other and met and had this great idea. They started it. Everyone else, it's pretty much through relationships and AngelList. So David was the first employee. He's my counterpart in the U.S. He was the first employee in the U.S. And Brad and Jason interviewed him, and they really liked him. They said, "Hey, we got that money. We can't pay you, but." I have a spare room in my apartment in New York, so, why not, that's the best I can offer you. So he hopped on the next flight. He was living in LA at the time. He hopped on the next flight to New York and got off the plane and basically just jumped right into the sales. As with me, I was working on a previous startup previously. It was, I guess, a semi-serious startup. It was like an education tech startup where I tried to connect tutors and students. And it was getting a little bit of traction. We had some investors who were interested putting in some money, but that was more or less the same time Jason approached me, and I thought it was a great concept, a great team. It's actually something I thought about previously before, but I guess I just wasn't ambitious enough to go and actually try it out. So I pretty much suspended myself and jumped on board. I said, hey, I'll try out 2 weeks here, I'll see if I like it. And I was the very first person there. It was basically just Jason and me when we first started out, and I really enjoyed it. And I've basically been here just over a year now. So yeah, that's my story.
Yeah, I think that ties in very well with Danny's comment. Like sometimes you see an opportunity, you see something you like, you have to just go with it. Just drop whatever that you're doing and really focus on that. So that brings us to like almost the end of our panel, and I'd like all our panelists to share perhaps like a biggest lesson learned while they're like building their startups, or like a crazy experience that you've had. Danny?
Probably I would go back to 2011 at Groupon-wise, right? So I think this is a lesson for in terms of credibility aspect. So I think this was biggest semi like mess up or FUs anyways. But anyway, so 2011 at Groupon-wise we had one merchant, Macau Dragon. I'm not sure. So we actually sold in 6 months. We sold $25 million HKD worth of vouchers. All right, there's a lot of vouchers, right? Going to Macau, $59 one way, right? It's pretty cheap, right? It's less than a drink in Long Kwai Fong, right? You get in Macau. So after 6 months, one night I was still in the office at 11 p.m. So a reporter called me and said, "Did you hear Macau Dragon just went bankrupt?" I was like, what? I was like, are you serious? So I called my PR guy, and he's like, can you confirm this is the